When it comes to all flavors, lagers have nowhere to hide, so it's crucial to maximize flavor stability. Which malts have the most flavor instabilities? Well, I asked that very question to two world-renowned experts, and each had fascinating insights and tips. The entire clip is fascinating, but especially the tip towards the end on how important exact temperature requirements are. Now, this was part of a longer event discussing best practices in demystifying lagering as a whole. Now, it was full of great tips. And so I'm going to put the link right up here in the cards and in the description. And make sure you watch the entire video. And also consider leaving this video a like.
I should make a flavor stable lager or pilsner. Then I would, of course, start and say, okay, malt. Which kind of malt should I use? And we know that if you're using colored malt or caramel malt and up in using darker colors, then you will have an issue with flavor stability later on, because you will create all these Maillard reactions and they are not, you can say, as stable later on as we think. So do they fit a lager? I would doubt it unless you really want it. And of course, that's up to you. And of course, if the beer, you can say, well, the beer will always change during time. So it's changed to something better. That's fine. But I would say that for me, flavor stability is having control of the process. So you know that the yeast is vital. It's really important that your yeast is doing what it's supposed to do, that you're not fermenting with dead yeast. Then you will have autolysis, and then you have bread flavors, and then you are not giving the consumers a good beer. And then if you think about maturation, of course, depending on the yeast. So do you need to you can say mellow it a little bit? Yeah, that's fine. Make it as fast as you can in order to actually give the consumer the best possible beer. And then back to, you can say, get rid of as much yeast as possible before maturation. So you have if you filter the beer, get it filtered as soon as possible with as less oxygen as possible, of course, so you can actually, again, give the consumer a nice fresh beer, because we know lagers will always be changing. If it's in bottle, you could have light struggles. And if it's in a can, of course, all heat, if you have it in a trunk in the car, you will have a damaged beer afterwards. So be careful about how and what you want to do. But I think that being in the brewing industry for an awful long time, I think it's all to do with fresh raw materials, the right raw materials, and we can talk about mold later. And it's a vital yeast, and then have control of the oxygen later on.
I think in terms of flavor stability, I don't personally believe the fermentation temperature has much of a significant role at all. I think it's all to do with further down in the process. So I would, of the many stages, that is one of the ones I would worry about the least. Much from the point of view of flavor stability, from the point of view of flavor, it is going to be of importance. Lower temperatures, slow lower temperatures, you are going to drift in the direction of more sulfur-like flavors. High temperatures, you're going to be going in more in the direction of esters and higher alcohols.
So it's not a yes/no question. It's what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want?
And be careful about the yeast. So if you take too high temperatures, be careful about the autolysis happening in the yeast. If you can't follow, you will have an issue.
Know your yeast. Now, this was just one clip from the entire replay. And I've posted the replay link right up here on the screen and in the description. Please don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know what your top takeaway was. And a like would always be appreciated.